Just to put it in perspective, they have done in 2 weeks what normally takes 3 months or more to get done. So they are out there in this weather doing what they can all the way up to the last minute. And I believe it was 26,000 cubic yards of debris. So doing their best on that. As I said, they're going to stop with the collections today. Sandbag sites locations are closed. The city garages, again, we're leaving those open. You don't have much time. If you don't do it in the next hour or so, you can put your electric vehicles up high. Make sure you are elevating all those electric batteries, electric items as well, because you know those batteries, once they start on fire, they cannot be extinguished. And we lost a lot of houses in the last storm based on that. So thank you all. I have never seen an evacuation of this magnitude, and our community has responded and responded very, very responsibly. So thank you for that. We are prepared for the storm. Worst case scenario is it is a bit north of the Tampa Bay area. Best case scenario is it is a bit south, but that is still not a good scenario. This is going to be a storm of historic proportions with wind, water, and rain. But we will get through this together, and we will come back stronger. Now I'd like to have comments from the Chair of City Council, Guido Maniscalco.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So, as the Mayor said, time is of the essence. The window for evacuation is closing. As the wind speed pick up, you'll see the bridges shutting down, which will be announced this afternoon at some time. As the storm continues to approach us, it is picking up speed. It's expected to make landfall sooner than we originally thought. So if you are in an evacuation zone, this is a matter of life and death. Think about yourself. Think about your family. Keep yourself safe. We will get through this together. What is good to know is that we have a great team here at the City of Tampa. TPD is on standby. Tampa Fire Rescue is on standby, and so many other partners ready to assist in the recovery once this storm passes through. But in the meantime, we have to hunker down. We have to take all the precautions possible, not take anything for granted, because this is very serious. This is historically significant, and it could change Tampa as we know it. So we have to take all safety precautions and not take anything for granted. Having said that, I'd like to bring up Tampa Fire Chief Barbara Tripp.
Thank you. As the mayor and councilman has stated, the message we're trying to get out to everyone is about the evacuees. We want to thank the community for actually taking heed. We want to thank law enforcement, for taking their time going door to door to make sure we continue to protect our community. And most of all, we want everyone to be safe. So once again, if you're in those evacuation zones, we want you to make sure you get to a safe place. We have shelters throughout the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. We will do everything we can to assist you to get to those shelters so you can be secure until the storm comes through. As the mayor stated, we're going to have wind, rain. We're going to have storm surge. Hurricane Helene presented some challenges, and a lot of people was affected by it, and we don't want that to take place with Hurricane Milton. Just to let you know, Tampa Fire Rescue is prepared. We do not abandon any fire stations, but whenever we're in the evacuation zone, we must leave as well. We continue to stay in those stations up until I decide to move those individuals way before the storm come here, because we know people are still leaving those areas in the case of any emergencies. So once again, we just want you to know that we're here for you, but when the time comes, we will remove those resources and put them in a safe place. Once again, we don't want to be put in any kind of danger. We want to be there to support our community, and we want you all to continue to help us help you. With that said, we have many resources that's been given to the City of Tampa, state and local resources, from additional transport units to additional strike team to additional water rescue teams. So we want to thank the community for all of their support as well. If you need any assistance, please reach out, text Tampa Ready to 888 888-777. Tampa ready to 888-777, or for Spanish, Tampa lista, 888-777, 888-777. That's Tampa, LISTA. With that being said, we want everyone to be safe, and definitely take all your family, make sure you keep in touch with your family, and support one another. Want to thank the community. Now introduce Chief Burkle.
Thank you, Chief. The last 2.5 days, all of my officers have been assisting in evacuation efforts throughout the city. In fact, if you think about it in level or zone A and zone B, everyone that needs to be evacuated is monumentous tax. All of our officers are out there and assisting. In fact, this morning, even the most vulnerable, we are out there trying to evacuate. We want to save lives and we want to help. In fact, this morning I was in South Tampa, south of Gandy, an elderly female who wanted to ride out the storm we spoke to yesterday. We were able to convince her this morning that she needed to go. Her plan was to stay in her house with a flotation device and attempt to weather the storm. And my fear is that there's more of her out there that are like that. And we've done everything that we can do to help everyone through this storm. But again, as I said before, the time's coming soon where we won't be able to respond. I will have to keep my officers in so we can respond out and assist everybody in the recovery efforts. So remember that we will get through this together, and to hunker down and stay safe. And I'll have Mary Lou from TICO.
So much shorter than him. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Lou Karn from Tampa Electric. Everyone at Tampa Electric has been working around the clock to prepare for a safe restoration from Hurricane Milton. We've assembled more than 5,000 utility workers to assist us as soon as the storm has passed and it's safe to do so. This is the largest deployment of utility workers that Tampa Electric has ever assembled for a storm restoration, just to give you a little idea of how serious we are taking this storm. With a storm of this magnitude and intensity, we expect for there to be some serious damage to our infrastructure, which may lead to extended outages. We ask that customers please be prepared for several days' worth of essentials and to have patience with us, please, as we work to restore power after the storm safely. If you should experience a power outage at any time before, during, or after the storm, you can report it to us. It's a method that we use to keep track of outages and to put them into our restoration work plans. You may go to our website at tampaelectric.com/storm to access our outage map. You may text OUT to 27079, or you can call us at 877-588-1010. So a few tips I'd like to give today mostly revolve around during storm and after storm activities, because that is the phase that we have entered. Again, if you're going to use a portable generator, it can't be said enough to please use it outside, away from enclosed spaces. It should be kept dry and away from the rain. To avoid flood waters, to say my hide energized lines. Those are, inside your home flood waters, outside your home flood waters. Always assume that down power lines are energized. If you see a down power line, that is an emergency and you should call 911. Do not touch the power line. Do not touch anything that the power line might be touching because it might conduct electricity. If you experience electrical damage or flooding from the storm, please keep your breaker turned off until a licensed electrician can inspect and repair your system. They will need to do that before we are able to restore power to your home. Additionally, to protect your items from power surges, so used to saying storm surge, power surges, please unplug any appliances that you are not using or anything that you do not want to have potential damage. In addition to that, I ask that if you see our crews in the field, that you please do not approach them while they're working. Although they love to have our customers, thank them for being in the area and love assisting, they are laser focused on their safety. This is a very complex restoration, and everybody wants to get home safe. So please show your appreciation from a little bit of a distance. We also ask that if you're cleaning up after the storm, you please do not pile debris under the power lines or in areas where we would have to access a power line, so that we can speed up our restoration activities. And if you're going to be digging in your yard or anywhere else to help clean up, please do not do so until you call 811. There are many underground power lines in the area, and if you start to dig, you might become in contact with an energized underground power line, which would be deadly. For more safety tips and more information that might be helpful to you in the storm, you can go to our storm center at tampaelectric.com/storm. Now, after the storm has passed and it is safe to do so, we will begin our outage restoration process. So whenever there is a power interruption, we take a priority restoration approach so that our community can respond as quickly as possible. The first thing that Tampa Electric does, as soon as it is safe, is that we ensure our power plants and transmission lines are in proper working order. Then we restore power to essential services to help the community: hospitals, police stations, fire stations. Once they are back online, we focus on public services such as communication providers, supermarkets, home improvement stores, things that will help people recover. After that, we work to restore the largest group of people in the shortest amount of time. So during our damage assessment process, we identify different levels of complexity to repair power. We begin with repairing power that may not be as complex, that will restore thousands of people at one time. That will happen before we go to individual homes or smaller outages. That just helps everybody get back online a lot faster. So I would like, just before closing, to say thank you to everyone for your collaboration and support. I'd like to thank my fellow Tampa Electric team members, the city, the county, the state, our first responders, and our customers. Thank you, and stay safe.
Before we bring up Maribel Garrett for translation, I just want the community to understand the work that is going on, and that work is being done collaboratively. President Biden, the FEMA Administrator Siswell, Governor DeSantis, State Emergency Operations Chief Kevin Guthrie, everyone is working hand in hand to make sure that we have the resources that we need to go through this storm and then to recover effectively. We have all of our first responders on duty. We have just about all of our personnel on duty to clear streets afterwards, to make sure the water continues to run, that we don't have any wastewater overflows, that mobility, that we can get people up and moving again. But what I ask of the community, one is post-storm, please let your friends and relatives know you're okay. We'll be getting a number of calls saying, I can't get in touch with my family. Will you go check on them? So please let everybody know that you are okay. And also, can't stress this enough, whether you go to the state, to Hillsborough County, or to the city of Tampa, for us in Tampa, simply Tampa Ready to 888-777, Tampa Lista to 888-777, and you will get factual, real-time information. Don't go back outside until you have been told that it is safe to do so. You're going to have down power lines that could still be active, standing water. Who knows what is in that? You can't drive through that. So please wait until we make sure that it's safe for you to go outside. And again, we will be here with you every step of the way. Mirabel.
Thank you, Mayor Castor. Maribel Garrett para la comunidad de Tampa. El momento de prepararse ya terminó. Es momento de mantenerse en sus hogares. El huracán Milton tiene un potencial de tener consecuencias mortales, así que les pedimos por favor que no tomen riesgos innecesarios. Si aún necesita un albergue, pueden comunicarse con Uber y usar el código Milton Relief para servicio gratuito hacia los refugios. Tenemos 10 de los 13 refugios que están disponibles todavía en este momento, pero como mencionamos, la ventana de disponibilidad se está cerrando. Ya hemos comenzado a sentir algunos de los efectos de las bandas del huracán, así que por favor recuerden que ya las condiciones del tiempo van a continuar deteriorándose con el impacto mayor comenzando en la tarde. Si aún no lo ha hecho, envíe el mensaje de texto Tampa Lista al número 888777. Tampa Lista. Esto le da la oportunidad de recibir alertas en español directamente en sus teléfonos. Si viven en zonas de evacuación y decidieron permanecer en sus hogares, recuerden que los rescatistas de primeros auxilios pueden tener dificultad y no van a poder llegar a ustedes en caso de que haya una emergencia ya cuando los vientos aumenten. Recordándoles que si ven líneas caídas, por favor no las toque y considérelas como energizadas o vivas. Llame al 911 y repórtelas al TICO. Llamando al 877-588-1010. 877-588-1010. No guíe por zonas inundadas. Para información sobre carreteras inundadas, visite a tampa.gov/flood maps. Si tienen preguntas, pueden llamar a nuestro banco de teléfonos al 1-833-872-4636. Repito, 833-872-4636. Por favor, le pedimos a todos nuestros residentes que se mantengan en sus hogares. No es momento de tomar riesgos innecesarios, así que vamos a esperar al huracán en nuestras casas para mantenernos sanos y seguros.
Thank you.
Yolanda for a Spanish translation, and she'll be followed by Amber. Yolanda.
El huracán Milton se acerca rápidamente a nuestro estado y espera que toque tierra como tormenta de categoría 3 o 4 justo al sur de la bahía de Tampa. Esperamos entre 8 y 12 pies de marejada ciclónica y vientos hasta 100 millas por hora. Si aún no ha evacuado, ya le está acabando el tiempo y necesita ir a un lugar seguro inmediatamente, ya sea un refugio o la casa de un amigo. Ahora es el momento de buscar refugio hasta que pase la tormenta. Va a haber un momento cuando los socorristas no podrán rescatarlo hasta después que pase la tormenta. El condado ha abierto refugios adicionales en St. Petersburg, en New Heights Elementary School y Fairmount Park Elementary School. Los refugios no les rechazarán. Si necesita ayuda para llegar, por favor llame al Centro de Información del Condado al 727-464-4333. También quiero que los residentes estén preparados que los servicios como el agua y la electricidad pueden estar fuera de uso durante días después del huracán. Su paciencia va a ser muy necesaria durante el proceso de recuperación. Tenemos un largo camino por delante, pero lo haremos juntos. Estaremos aquí para garantizar que podamos recuperar nuestra hermosa ciudad rápidamente después de la tormenta.
Good afternoon. We're entering the period where we're watching the final approach of Hurricane Milton to the Tampa Bay area. We're closely watching the small jogs to the south, to the north, and we're in constant contact with our partners at the National Weather Service to truly understand what those movements mean for the city of St. Petersburg. But regardless of these jogs, we are preparing, and I'll say that again, we are preparing for and we expect to receive direct impacts from a major hurricane. This means potential storm surge up to 12 feet and sustained winds over 100 miles per hour. Most of the significant impacts will begin later this afternoon. It will be a rough night. We're expecting those hurricane force winds to begin around midnight. Conditions should improve mid-morning. The catastrophic surge will occur around and to the south of the eye of the hurricane. The heaviest rains will be to the north of the eye. These heavy rains could cause flash flooding in normally high elevation areas. That's why it's so important that we watch the track in real time of where this storm is. It means so much for the area for St. Pete. On the current forecast track, we would be on the north side of this storm. This means our wind and rain threat is increasing. Please remember, St. Pete remains in the cone of uncertainty. That means we're still in the danger zone to receive the eye of the storm. I hear the sighs of relief when we see those small jogs south. Don't let your guard down. Again, we are expecting impacts, direct impacts from this storm. While miles matter, we remain a short distance from the projected path of the eye of that storm. I'd like to close with a few key messages from the National Hurricane Center that was just released at 11 o'clock. A large area of destructive storm surge with highest inundations of 10 feet or greater is expected along a portion of the west central coast of Florida. If you are in a storm surge warning area, this is an extremely life-threatening situation. Evacuate now. Number 2, devastating hurricane force winds are expected along portions of the west coast of Florida, where a hurricane warning is in effect. Milton is forecast to remain a hurricane while it crosses the Florida Peninsula, and life-threatening hurricane force winds, especially in the gusts, are expected to spread inland across the peninsula. Preparations to protect life and property, including being ready for a long-duration power outages, should be rushed to completion. And finally, heavy rainfall across the Florida Peninsula through Thursday brings a risk of catastrophic and life-threatening flash and urban flooding. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Take any questions?
The potential sewage shutdowns. We talked about is the Northeast sewage plant just expected to go offline, and could folks get like a little notice, like, hey, we're looking at maybe 30 minutes to make a decision, or anything like that?
We definitely plan to give notice, whether we shut down the Northeast or the Southwest plant. Right now, there's still a lot of uncertainty, depending on where the storm hits as to what kind of storm surge we'll see. So we're going to be watching this. We're watching the track. We're going to be watching the storm surge, watching the winds very closely to determine what we're going to do. Our number one priority, though, is to protect our operators. We've got to get them off site. If we see 5, 6, 7 feet of water on that site, those operators are at risk. And so we'll be making the decision when it is appropriate, and we will be messaging it.
So if you're saying 5, 6, 7 feet, and you've got those folks, I mean, will people get a notice saying, hey, in 20 minutes we're going to pull it, or you'll just get a notice saying it's done? It's over?
You'll get a notice that we are shutting the plant down.
Okay, so there will be some time between when the notice comes out and when the plant actually shuts down.
Yes, there will be some time. So when we make the decision to shut it down, we'll send the notice out. And the actual time to actually shut down the plant will take 20, 30 minutes.
Okay, so when the notice comes out, that's the window, 20, 30 minutes.
It should be approximately that, yes.
Okay, and you mentioned yesterday that there's, like, in the Southwest plant, there's some capacity to flush toilets. Is that the same situation as the Northeast plant?
So
what's the difference between these two?
well, there's no difference between the two. What we know is that we have a lot of people evacuated. A lot of people are not going to be using their systems. And so therefore we know that in our collection system, there's some capacity there that if an individual decides they must flush the toilet, it shouldn't be a problem. But again, we are asking people, please do not use your sewer system if the plants go off.
Now, for both plants, the Northeast and Southwest, just try not to use it at all.
Try not to use it at all, but we recognize that there are emergencies, and if you need to, you should be able to do so safely. But again, we're not looking at everybody using it at the same time. So that's why we're asking people, be sure to evacuate.
What's the status of the Northwest plant? Would that be
No. It's at a higher elevation.
Okay. I have a question on the cranes.
Okay.
From yesterday, the impact zones for the cranes, those are determined based on height, or how are those boundaries drawn? Like, is the pier then collapsing or swinging around? What is the exact answer?
So I'm going to call forward our City Development Administrator, James Corbett, and I failed to introduce Claude Tankersley, our Public Works Administrator, answered the last question for folks watching at home. James?
Thank you, Mayor. The determination of the areas of impact for the cranes is based on height and where the crane is located. So, for instance, if the crane is located on the south side of the building, the impact zone on the north side of the building would be less because of the reach of the crane, as well as the building being in between the crane. So that's how we determine that. If the cranes were to fail, it could be a combination of things. The most likely failure would be what's called the jib arm, which is the area that extends out from the crane. That's the area that's not supported. That would be the most likely point of failure if they were to fail.
And a point of failure is falling, or breaking in half, or collapse?
Failure would be no longer being connected to the actual crane arm itself.
Okay, so it would fall.
It could fall, it could fly. Right. All of those are possible without knowing the conditions.
Okay, and was there anything between today and yesterday on the cranes or mitigation or anything on the cranes, or it's still status quo?
It's still the same status. We are comfortable for all the cranes up to 100 miles per hour. After winds reach a level of more than 100 miles per hour sustained, we do have some concerns, but nothing has changed as far as the status of the cranes.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. That concludes our update. Please stay safe, St. Pete.
that are set up right now. We have Tiger Dams installed at Landon Park Lift Station. That's just north of San Marco Boulevard. Children's Way Lift Station. Fire Station 11 on Talleyrand. Fire Station 13 at 1411 Atlantic Boulevard. And Fire Station 23 at 5323 Ortega Boulevard. So what we're still waiting for, and we are told they are en route now. They don't take but a few minutes to set up, so this is not going to be a problem. The state says they are en route to setting up the ones at Atlantic Boulevard. These are all things the state is setting up. 1 Atlantic Boulevard, 20 Seagate Avenue, and 1 Ahern Street. Those are all en route to being set up right now. The state says that they've given out as many of those as they have. They've gotten so many requests with such a wide swath of area affected, so we won't be able to set any more up beyond the ones that I just mentioned. Again, want to mention about garbage and recycling. That's going to be Thursdays will be rescheduled to Saturday because we will not have crews out Thursday. Friday collection for garbage and recycling is anticipated to occur as normal. Yard waste and debris collections will resume in an ongoing manner on Friday until all debris is removed from both Helene and Milton. So I think that is just about it. We have at 630 City, I want to let you know that we have also tried something else new this time. We have representatives embedded there from JSO, JFRD, and JTA to make sure that we can accommodate those issues very quickly if there are things that people need to know or need to be handled by those agencies. They're going to be embedded there at 630 City. They're now 24 hours through the rest of the storm. And as always, you can go to jacksready.com/Milton for more information on all of this. I know that was a lot of information. What we're going to do today is we're going to just go ahead and take questions. If you have questions for me, if you have questions for any of our folks back here, if you have questions for Al at the National Weather Service, you can ask, but we're just going to go straight to questions. And we, by the way, we'll meet back here again at 6:20 tonight. Yes.
So for clarification, as people are getting ready, is it illegal to take sand from the beaches to use for sandbags?
I don't believe that is legal.
Mayor, during Helene, we saw a lot of people wanting to come out and watch at like a memorial park along the riverbank. What is your message to people who might want to come out and watch things deteriorate during Milton?
Well, look, I feel like a bit of a hypocrite given that I spent 30 years of my life sitting out, in the middle of hurricanes telling people, but that was my job. But I think if it's not your job, and I know it's a lot of your jobs, if it's not your job, please don't do it, because it puts you in a situation where we may have to come out and help you if a tree falls on you or if something else happens to you in that storm. So I would be greatly appreciative for everybody if you would please just stay home once conditions start to deteriorate here. Most of this is going to be hitting us overnight and into the morning, so stay home. I know it's a fascination, but the truth is, how many times do we hear that we run into problems like that? When somebody, you don't know when a tree limb's going to fall. You don't know when you're going to slip and fall in water or whatever the situation is. And we certainly don't need you out in the water at the beaches because that's just a hazardous, horrible situation right now. So please do stay home. And I appreciate the question. I think that sometimes that we've had it really in a relative sense here so good for so long when it comes to these things. We absolutely have some inconveniences. We have some power outages that can take a while. We have some flood damage occasionally. We certainly have some things that need to be repaired. But there are people in other parts of this state whose lives are going to be changed forever if they're fortunate enough to live through this storm. And I want people to recognize that, let's be grateful for what we have and try to make the jobs of our first responders as easy as we possibly can, because they're already tired. They've been working 24/7 pretty much since Helene. And if they're not working here, they've been working where the storm damage is worse. So respect those folks, give them some love, and stay home. Yeah.
I was wondering if JFRD or JSO could talk about also any plans for mutual aid of sending folks over to Tampa or Orlando to help out.
Yeah, so we have 12 ERAT teams that are that are staged up in addition to the 6 that are here locally that are going to be deployed into the Central and South Florida areas. Those comprise of JFRD folks, it comprises of 24 JSO officers, and it comprises of line crews that will be going with them, and they will be deploying very shortly. We have just received a phone call to get ready for that, so they'll be heading south before the storm to assist our neighbors to the south. You know, the mayor talks about all the time about how fortunate we are and how we should help our neighbors, because maybe one day we're going to be the ones needing help. So I just ask that you pray for our men and women. That is extremely, as she mentioned, extremely dangerous work they're doing, but they are chomping at the bit to go and help, as they always are.
And also, Mayor, I was wondering, with the Jags obviously in London this weekend, did you have plans to travel to London, and how has this modified those plans?
Well, I do have plans to travel to London this weekend, and I'm hopeful that we'll get through this and I'll be able to keep those plans, but we won't know exactly what situation we're in until after the storm passes.
Mayor, that $300,000 total going to the Red Cross storm response, can you break down how it started with City Council and what was the matching? I didn't get all the numbers.
Well, it started with Council President White, because if you know anything about Council President White, it always starts with how he can help other people. And he had it on his heart that he has had many conversations with the local Red Cross and found out they were stretched and really needed the help. And so he went to council and said, I'd like to take $150,000 from the council contingency and give it to the Red Cross, and then he called some of the other agencies to see if they were interested in jumping in, and so JTA did, JEA did, Jacksport did, and so that's how we ended up with $50,000 from each of those organizations, and overall $300,000. But let me just say, it doesn't have to stop there. Anybody else who wants to give to our local Red Cross, we would be grateful for that, and any other entity or agency that wants to do that, we'd be grateful if you do, because those folks work so very hard in this situation, you know, not only here but elsewhere, and any resources we can give them is very helpful.
I was also wondering if JSO or JFRD could kind of speak to, obviously in the aftermath of the storm, if somebody has a tree in their house or they have down power lines or flooding in their neighborhood, how does the list of priority come? When they have so many calls at once, only so many people, how do they kind of work through that list of which to respond to first?
Well, I can tell you that is, and I'm happy to have somebody up if you want to talk about this, but it comes with where are our life-threatening or threatening situations. I mean, that's really what is handled first. If you have something that's blocking traffic, if you have something that's causing a live wire to be out there that's going to hurt somebody, you take the most urgent cases first. But we do encourage people, you know, if they do have an incident, to let us know, and then we'll assess that situation and get out to them as quickly as we can. But that's how you do it. You just take the most urgent cases first. Yes.
Mayor, on top of a storm surge, river flooding, tidal flooding, and whatnot, should homeowners also expect power outages?
Well, anytime that we have a lot of wind, we have so many trees here. Anytime we have a lot of wind, we're going to have power outages. I'm actually really grateful that we're not talking about the type of rainfall that we were looking at earlier in the week when we were thinking that we could get up to 10 to 12 or more inches of rain, which would have really caused a lot more problems with that. But I will say, anytime you have tropical storm force winds and potentially hurricane force gusts, you're going to have trees come down and you're going to have power outages. And because we have saturated ground, that also causes trees to come down with a little bit of wind. And when trees come down, roots come up and they bring with them lines that are water lines and other things. So it's always going to be an issue when we have conditions of wind and water. So yes, we should expect power outages. And again, I ask for your patience on that front. Yes.
Regarding the tiger dams, how sustainable and durable are they? Like, we're going to have a lot of flying debris. There's a lot of flying debris that's going to be flying through the air and across the shore.
You've got to remember, they're built for storms. You know, they're built for storms. So from what I am told, they have been a wonderful, wonderful asset. That they are very sturdy. That it's very tough to get over them, and they've been performing very well in other storm conditions that we've seen. So we'll see. We haven't used them widespread here yet, and we'll see today and tomorrow how they do. But from what I understand, they're very sturdy.
Mayor, can you talk about homeless? I know we have a new initiative started October 1st and all the programs that are going with that, but anything else extra for this event, this cycle?
Well, we have shelters open specifically that are in place to accommodate folks from our homeless population. And I think we've said City Rescue Mission has also opened. Is it City Rescue Mission? Yes. Okay. City Rescue Mission opened their doors for the storm as well. So that and La Villa tend to be areas where a lot of our homeless do have the opportunity to gather.
Is there any like JTA just kind of seeing if they can, anybody wants a ride to go somewhere, those kind of things? Like that's part of your plan, though, right?
JTA has already given a number of folks that are houseless rides to shelters.
And I was also wondering, I know we obviously spoke about line workers. Once it hits 35 miles per hour, that's that threshold where
30.
they need to,
Yes, 30.
for their own safety. What about first responders like JSO and JFRD? What's that threshold to where they'll have to shelter and some patience is needed from folks?
I'm going to have to let y'all answer that one.
It's the same for both of us, pretty much. When the winds get 45 miles an hour sustained or greater, we have to start looking at first responder safety because of the vehicles are traveling in, getting blown off the road or something getting blown off. So we kind of work in partnership with that, determining when it's safe to have them out there and when it's not. But kind of 45 miles an hour sustained is kind of where we start really taking a strong look at it.
And for JEA, part of the service territory goes into St. Johns County. Is there any sense that that side of JEA's service territory is going to bear the brunt of the wind damage as it's closest to the path of the storm, or is it really makes that much of a difference?
Thanks for the question. We don't have that many electric customers in St. Johns County. We mostly have water customers there, but it will be the same level of service. Absolutely.
Chief just reminded me too that I just want to emphasize that if you have a non-emergency situation, please call 630 City. Save 911 for the true emergencies. If you have a question, obviously, if you're concerned about it being an emergency, you're free to call 911. But if it's not an emergency and you know that you're just needing to report something, call 630 City so we don't clog up those emergency lines. Anybody else? Yes.
As far as financial support, beyond state and local support, or beyond state support, FEMA, what financial support can you offer citizens of Jacksonville, Duval County?
Well, I don't know at this point what that would be. I mean, obviously there people have insurance. There are other programs through FEMA and those types of things, but I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. You want to talk to this, Andre?
So we, Andre, Director of Emergency Preparedness Division, Duval County. So I think what you're referring to is we got public assistance and then individual assistance. So post-storm, there's a threshold you have to meet. We will get that information, and once we meet that threshold, we will push that out through our Jax Ready app. And we're doing it for Helene and Adelia and Debbie. So it works well, and we've been doing that for many years.
I think what I'm getting at also is beyond COVID, y'all have the program that y'all offer the city financial assistance. And are we going to see anything like that here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to find that out for you. Anybody else? Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see you again at 6:05.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
I got it right.
This message I was going to show you. Yeah.
As your mayor, I will make sure that tiger dams are built.
Yeah, I know. I saw it on the table.
Well, so here's the thing. I always say no, straight up though.
Doing all right. How about you?
No, we were in San Marco where it wasn't too bad, but not really.